everybody. My name is Missy Omatosha Sonia, and I'm also known as MC Missy, and I'll be your host for today's conversation. Now, it's an honor to be hosting this special interview with the author of the 6 Emotionally Intelligent Languages for Couples by Sam Okpeche. Now, this is the conversation before the conversation. Now, today we're going to be unpacking what emotionally intelligent languages really mean and why so many couples talk yet they feel unheard. Now, it's about words that heal. Sam, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Missy.
Amazing. So, the 6 emotionally intelligent languages, why that name for the book?
Well, the name of the 6 emotionally intelligent language is because in my work as a counselor and as a psychotherapist, I have seen that even though many couples love each other, they are not skilled, knowledgeable in how they use language in communicating. So couples talk a lot, but because the conversation sometimes is generating from anger, resentment, and they don't know how to navigate it, they cause a lot of wound and hurt to each other, even though they still love themselves. So the 6 emotionally intelligent languages is a framework that would help to reset how couples use languages to communicate with one another, so that instead of creating distance, they can increase the connection between themselves.
Amazing. Awesome. So when people hear the phrase emotionally intelligent languages, what do you think is most misunderstood?
Wow, that's a very good question. I think when people hear about that, especially the emotional side of it, they think about weakness, because a lot of people feel that when you are trying to connect with your partner emotionally, that it's a show of weakness. But it's not weakness to be vulnerable, because just imagine, being seen by your partner, feeling like your partner can really see you, they can see your heart, and what helps to communicate that, what helps to cause that to, materialize is this emotionally intelligent languages. And the society actually doesn't expect, especially us men, to be in touch with our emotions.
I was going to go there.
So they look at it as if, you're weak, get over yourself, what are you talking about? You're a man and all of that stuff. So there's a misunderstanding, and people think that you're weak just because you want to connect emotionally.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, we are all humans and nobody's a stone, so everyone essentially would have emotions. But let me ask you this. So who is more emotional, men or women, before we go to the next question? That's throwing you on the spotlight.
Well, you see, I hear it say a lot about, especially about men, that you ain't, or some guys will say, I'm in touch with my feminine side.
Exactly.
And that's because they're trying to make excuse for how emotional they feel. But I don't think that we need to make that excuse, because we just need to be authentic is the word I'm looking for. So in answer to your question, I think we would expect women to be more emotional. However, men also ought to show emotion.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I even think like it's almost 50-50. But anyways, let's go to the next question. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Now, what was happening in real relationships that made you realize that this book needed to be written in this moment, at this time exactly?
In the last 5-6 years, my wife and I, we have really, bottled down to counseling, one-on-one, and what we've picked up is, like I was saying earlier, couples that love each other, but one thing or the other that was said is causing that toxic environment in the relationship. you know, and we have seen situations where we applied the principles in this book and how it changed, you know, the dial, how it kind of transformed the atmosphere in the relationship. And that's when we started thinking, hold on a minute, I think this is the answer, you know. And like I said at the start, I have been making a lot of observation. What is missing? What is missing? Why are couples talking and talking but not connecting? And that's when we started to think there needs to be a set of language as a framework that would help couples to communicate better and see each other's hearts.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for that. You know, it sounds like there's been so much heart that has gone into writing this, a lot of research, like you said, from your years of counseling. And so amazing. Thank you for writing this book. It's definitely well needed. Now, so the framework that you mentioned, you used the words emotional languages, right? Why did you use the word, or why would you say you chose the word languages as opposed to what we hear in this day and age? Emotional communication, when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's just about, I know you're saying languages, but is there any reason why you didn't use love languages, for example? There's something around emotional love languages and things like that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Again, I was very particular about understanding what is the problem. Because when we understand the problem, then we can identify the correct solution, you know, to that problem. So the only way I can know how you feel is by language. The only way I can know your heart is when we start to communicate. Now, we then get into communicating, but I am not able to come across to you or to my partner in a way that reflects my emotions, in a way that reflects how I am feeling, you know. So that's why you know, I felt that language is what is missing, because the reality is that when we're growing up, we're not taught these languages. We observe people shouting. We observe people, you know, correct, yeah. you know, showing anger and all of this, and we think, oh, that must be the way to communicate. That must be the way to, you know, express myself. So this is about helping us to reset and say, hey, there's a different set of languages that we can use in our communication that doesn't create distance, but creates connection. And then, most importantly, helps your partner to see your heart.
Amazing. Wow. I know I'm the host and I'm interviewing, but I'm taking so much from this. Thank you so much for that. Now, primarily, when you're thinking about this book, would you say that it's more for couples that are currently struggling, couples that are strong, or the ones that would even tell you, oh, no, we're fine, we don't need the emotionally intelligent languages? Who do you think the book is primarily for?
I think the book is for everybody. Awesome. The book is for every genre, every segment of, you know, couples. Now, what you will discover is that there are, you know, two novel concepts that you know, we've introduced in this book, and that's the language of curiosity, or let me put it this way, curious words, which is the language of discovery. Now, many couples, especially ones that have been married over 10, 15, 20 years, they stop discovering themselves. So the language of discovery, you know, is saying to you, okay, you think you know everything about your husband or your wife. Hold on a minute. Do you actually do that? You know, what kind of words can you use in conversation that helps you to discover? Because life is not on a straight path. Things change. People change. And you need to constantly discover where your partner is at every segment of life. And the second one is visionary words, which is the language of hope. So, take for example couples that have raised their children have left the nest, and you know, it's just the two of them left. what's left with about life? You know, what else is in front of you that you need to be aspiring for? You know, so that language teaches couples that there is hope beyond. We've raised our children, they've left, we're even retired from work. You know, there are other things about our lives that we can get into.
Amazing, awesome. So this, like you said, it's across board. Younger couples, newlyweds, older couples, because like the one you said, if you know children are grown, they've left them, you're retired,
Yeah.
it will still help you. So you should also get this book.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So what would you say is the common mistake couples make when they believe that they're emotionally fine or emotionally mature in their relationships, and they say like, no, we're fine. I mean, I'm being emotionally mature. You know what? I'll just apologize. Sorry. What else? You know, what do you think is the common mistakes that you find?
Yeah, I think that is something I would call a danger zone.
Okay, let's go into the danger zone. Yes, let's go.
It's a danger zone
Right.
because it leads you to be dismissive of the feelings and
Of
the
the other
emotion of the other person.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you will see in this book is that it's not asking you to rush. It is asking you to be patient. So if you feel like, well, I'm further on the journey than my spouse, well, you need to be patient with them. You need to, actually, you can't read this book without your partner. That's the way we've structured it, so that the two of you are going on that journey together. It's a danger zone when one person thinks, I am already mature. I think I know, what I need to do. And it then feels like the other person is the problem. And that is not good for any relationship or marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Thank you. So let me ask you this again, just to throw a curveball, so, slightly different, but I mean, I'm sure the book will still help with this. Do you feel it's possible for two people to love each other deeply but still be emotionally incompatible?
That is really a curveball.
Yeah, I know. Is it possible? Because I love you so much, but yet our emotional conversation is not.
Well, compatibility is sometimes a problem word. And the reason I say that is this. If we're talking about marriage, if we're talking about people in marriage, the compatibility then becomes something that we work towards. So what am I saying? How do we ensure that your needs are met and my needs are met without me feeling like I am being overburdened, by your needs or your emotions, or you feeling like I am overburdening you. So what I'm trying to say is that in marriage, right, we have to work it out. The reason I say that is because when people start to say we're no longer compatible, it's like they're looking for a way out. So what we encourage is, let's see how we can work it out. Because as long as the love is there, those issues can be worked out. However, before marriage, I would say to anyone before marriage, you need to make sure that whoever you're going into marriage with, you are compatible with them emotionally. They're not a burden. Because if I'm being truthful, some people can feel like a liability.
That's correct.
And nobody wants to be in a marriage with a liability.
That's correct.
But once you get into marriage,
You're in it for life.
it's about trying to make it work.
Okay, and just to stay there a bit now, because from here now I want to explore back to singles.
Yes.
So do you think this would be important as well for singles? Because you said something there that was very key, that even before marriage, you want to understand what your emotional language is, or the intelligence of that. You want to be, how should we say it, emotionally intelligent enough for yourself before even getting into one. So would you say this would
of course
be, okay.
because the misunderstanding or misconception of the single life is that a lot of people don't put in the work, the preparation that is needed. They think when I get into marriage, I'll start doing X, Y, Z. No, It is when you are single that you need to cultivate. In my other book, I have a definition for singleness, and I say it is the progressive pursuit of completeness through the cultivation of godly character to make you an asset to your world, so that by the time you're in marriage, you're already an asset to your partner. So yes, of course, singles need this as well, because it helps them to prepare for that life of blissful marriage. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's very, very possible. To have a blissful marriage. I just wanted to quickly go back to that, because again, in this day and age, there seems to be some sort of misconception that maybe a blissful marriage may be impossible.
Yes.
But you say it is, and from your years of counseling, it is.
Yes.
And from your experience as well in marriage, you know that it is. So thank you so much for that. Now, let's also go back to. So I want to ask, where is the place of emotional discipline and I guess empathy in all of this? So how do we bring that into this? Or maybe not give us the 6 languages. Is it listed there somewhere?
Well, have you spied at the book?
Wait, I did. What is it?
So yes, empathic words.
Oh wow.
The language of presence is one of the language.
Oh.
Actually, empathy is a theme that revolves around all of the language. I find something very interesting, Missy. If you put 10 people together and ask them, what does empathy mean? They will give you a definition. But when you ask them, practice empathy, it's like
because different for each person.
It's like, what have you just asked me to do? So definitely empathic words is woven around all of the language, because the only way that the languages can have meaning and resonate is that it's coming from the place of empathy.
Yes.
Putting yourself in the other person's shoes and not making it about yourself all the time, but thinking about, okay, what I'm about to say, how will it land with my partner?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Again, we're not going to list all of the 6. You need to go and purchase this book. Put your comments there. But I wanted to also ask. So, a couple, for example, a scenario where a couple is currently struggling. What is the one principle? Again, don't give us too much from the book, but that you would pull through from that book that you feel like if a couple struggling now was to do right now one of the principles, they would immediately have a shift from that struggling place.
Yeah. First of all, I'll say that it's the 6 languages is a framework. They work, hand in hand.
Yeah.
But when a couple is at a place of things are broken down, there's real struggle. I think that the language of safety, which is repair, is the one that starts off that process of repairing. So this is where the couple, they've made up their mind to say, you know what, I'm tired of this distance. I want us to reconnect and then repair. The words that are built into repair are the ones that you can then start to use to gradually find your way back with each other, and then you weave in the others, but repair.
Repair would be. So let me just also to just staying there with the repair, and again, not to give too much, is that so we have the 6 emotional languages. So it's sounding to me like the way you've thought about this and written this book is that wherever you are at, the language can meet you where you are, and then you can complete the framework. So it's not like exactly 1-2. It just depends on your case.
Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. Wow, that's amazing. Well done, sir. So now I'm gonna go into a slightly different question, which is when it comes to this day and age, this one is, I don't know if to call it, it's not curveball, but it's quite an interesting one. So this day and age, there is so much emphasis on visuals, physical look. My man must be tall, dark and handsome. Again, I guess going back to the singles that are not yet married, or perhaps the men like, oh no, she's got to have the shape or look like a model or whatever. There seems to be so much emphasis on physical attraction. where does that play a part in this? So are you saying, as the author of the 6 emotional languages, emotionally intelligent languages, that essentially is more important than chemistry or physical attraction that a lot of people maybe putting at the forefront today?
Very, very good question. I wouldn't say it's more important, but all of those elements, chemistry, attraction, looks, they play a part. They play a part. You know, I always remember when after I changed my wife and
you had a lot of hair at the time, maybe? I'm just kidding. You had a really long hair. Or maybe? Tell us about it.
I've actually never had long hair. I wish I did. But
I was joking.
but I remember when I introduced her, and after she agreed, that we'll go out, we'll be married, and I introduced her, and somebody said, "Wow, I can't believe you caught that fine babe."
Ooh, I can attest to that. Very beautiful.
Of course, that is very important.
Yeah,
it plays a part. However, we discover that as the marriage progresses, certain things start to choke love. Certain things start to, cause love to become relegated in the background. It's the same beautiful person, but you're no longer seeing beauty. You're seeing something else.
Yeah.
Because the wrong words have been used, the wrong languages have been, coming across in communication. And that's where this comes in to say, hey, let's reset. You're still the same beautiful woman I married. You're still the same handsome man I married. You're still the same kind person I married. But something else has got in the way. Let's reset. So that's where, the 6 languages comes in to help us to find our way back. There's a supporting concept in the book, which is the climate code. We call it the climate code. Basically, it is saying that every couple ought to be able to identify the atmosphere. What's the climate in our relationship right now? Is it toxic? Are we down south? Are we up north? Where are we? So by identifying that, can we also identify where do we need to be and what do we, just like you mentioned earlier, what language do we need right now to help us get back to where we're going?
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for that. So, someone is listening to you right now. They're watching this, they're listening to us, and they say, that sounds like my partner, not me, but oh, that is my partner. That is definitely my husband. What do you have to say to them?
Well, if that's what you're thinking, I would say this is definitely for you. You need it more than your partner, actually. Because the change you want to see must begin from you.
Awesome. So it starts with you, not the other person. All right, awesome. And also, I think one thing I would just add to that is, as you're pointing, there is 3 other fingers pointing right back at you. So
exactly.
Yeah. So now, when it comes to adulthood, what do you think is that emotional language that most adults realize too late? I know you kind of touched on it at the start as to watching people being so expressive and thinking that. So how would you, if you were to put it in words, I guess, to a lot of adults are, in this day and age, realizing too late this particular emotional language, what would it be for you?
I think that would be curious words and visionary words. So curious words, again, is a language of discovery. And visionary words are the language of hope. I remember when I was much younger, I used to ask myself a question. How come people have been married for 30 years and all of a sudden they divorce?
That's a very good question.
How come they've been married for so 40 long. Years and suddenly we're seeing that they're divorced? That's because they've got to the place where they're no longer discovering each other. And this is where the language of language of curiosity comes into place. It's about trying to go back to how we started.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm sure when you started with your husband,
Yes.
you know, you couldn't see, you couldn't get enough of each other.
Oh no, we
you know?
couldn't. Yeah.
So it's about
24/7.
it's about finding that place
Yeah.
again by using the curious words. You know, asking aspirational question. You know. Where do you want us to go? Where should we travel to together? You know, let's explore the world. Let's look beyond, you know, this horizon. What will make you feel really, really valued as a person that I could support with? You know, and I think when people stop doing that, everything just goes downhill.
That's correct. Thank you so much. So, if a reader was to apply this book, and I know that, like we said, there's the 6, and you sort of need to identify where you are and, you know, complete the framework. So they complete the framework. What do you think would change first, the person or the relationship, or both?
It's the person. The person that would notice the change first, because I always say that the problem is not with the marriage.
It's the people in the marriage. Amen.
We
sir.
always blame the marriage. The marriage is this, the marriage is that,
Yeah.
the marriage is the other.
Yeah.
But the problem is not the marriage. The marriage
It's the people.
is a show, is an expression of the people that are creating and building and developing the marriage. So the first impact would be on that
You as a
individual.
person.
You know, I am very keen for people to appreciate the place of empathy. You know, empathy is so powerful. You know, it's so strong because it removes the focus on, you know, me, and looks at, okay, I know that I may not accept what they have done, but can I find out how they're feeling? You know, just that space that creates a connection, and then we can start to rebuild. You know, making the person feel safe, not being judgmental about, you know, how we frame or phrase our question, and causing the person to be defensive. So, and for me as well is, you know, seeing couples as they grow in application, showing it to other people, you know, becoming that example that other people can look at and say,
Yeah.
what makes your relationship different? I'd like to know. And then you can share with them, it's a 6 emotionally intelligent
Oh
marriage.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Pastor Sam. This has been a very rich and honest conversation. Thank you so much. So is there any one last words you would like to say to people listening right now?
Yeah. I would just want to say thank you first of all for listening and watching this. I want you to know that you shouldn't give up on your marriage. Don't give up on your relationship. I know you still love your husband. I know you still love your wife. I know you still love your partner. And the reason why we have done this book is to help you find that connection again. Find that space where you can have the conversation that will not destroy, but will help you to rebuild even the joy and the love that you once experienced in your marriage. So don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on yourselves.
Yes, amazing. So if what you've heard today resonates with you, then this book will definitely challenge you not just to love better, but to understand better and to understand your spouse better as well. So my name is Missy, and it's been a great one facilitating this conversation. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.